What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? I am back here with another video, and today another controversial ending to a Steelers game. It was just a few weeks ago we were talking about the controversial calls in the Ravens game, and now we are right back to it. And it's funny, I don't think I've seen many people talk about that the Steelers have now in the last 3 weeks have kind of gotten away with a few calls. Now, I think that we're gonna argue a few things because there was a lot of missed calls in this game. Um, I believe it was the same play as the pass interference on the game drive, the final drive of the Lions. There was a clear hold on Jack Sawyer, and it was not called. So everyone doesn't look at both sides of the argument when there was missed calls or that ref screwed somebody up. Now this was a phenomenal game. And let's not act like it wasn't. Aaron Rodgers put on a show, and it literally had everything. It had defensive stops for both teams. Uh, you know, Turnovers technically because you had the safety for the Steelers, and then you had the fumble recovery by the Detroit Lions. In this to start the second half, which was huge. And this was a great game, an amazing catch by Tesla to get the Lions up 10-3 going into the final 2 minutes. And then the Steelers were just struggling on special teams, and obviously a lot of the DK situation, that's a separate thing. I don't really want to get into it. Especially because there's still controversy. As of right now, video has come out. It doesn't sound like any slur was addressed, and I don't like that. I don't like when players lie about that thing because it's a serious thing. So if you're gonna lie about it, it makes it less important. We saw that Myles Garrett lied about it a few years ago when he hit Mason Rudolph with the helmet and all that stuff. He was mic'd up during that, and then people still argue like, why didn't they release the footage? Well, why would they? I mean, I think that's personal stuff that they don't have to, release all your videos that you have on your phone then, if we're going to be able to just watch everything owned by the NFL. But based off of what we've seen, it sounds like Metcalf is probably going to get a suspension. I would, since it's his second offense with the same fan, I wouldn't be shocked if the fan might have given him a leeway of maybe avoiding a suspension because it's his second time. But I think Metcalf should just take the suspension and figure it out. But this game was just ridiculous. Aaron Rodgers really turned into prime Aaron Rodgers again. He made big time passes. This Steelers offense was the first time where it just felt dynamic on offense and defense. It was such a dynamic team. They got everyone involved. I'm just thinking about everybody that got a catch. Austin, Metcalf, Thielen, Miller, um, Scantling, 5 receivers. I think every tight end, maybe except for Connor, got a touch. Like they distributed the ball really well. They stopped the run very well, and they stopped for the most part, they stopped the passing. Without your best two players, it's kind of rough, right? But what really helped them was Adam Thielen in this game. He led the receivers, I believe, and he obviously had some big time plays. But what was talked about the most in this game, other than all the drama, was the immaculate catch that led to the touchdown to end the half. Aaron Rodgers throws a deep ball to Scantling, and it doesn't go anywhere. They go and run pretty much a similar play with Gainwell out. One-on-one, Tony circles it. He throws it deep, a big flag, but somehow gets the catch and runs it for a touchdown. And it was impressive. You cannot tell me it wasn't impressive because just look at that. If that hits the floor, it doesn't matter. They still have to fight for the touchdown. But it was just what a play by the refs too, by making sure that this doesn't get blown dead. Like they saw it. He got the completion. And that pretty much changed the tone. I felt like if you were watching this game, which was one of the best games of the year, definitely one of the best games on Sunday. I think that Ravens game was also pretty good. There was actually a lot of good games. There's that Bills game was all right. the Panthers Bucks game was pretty good. Like they had some really good games on Sunday night. Um, and that's before Saturday and Thursday games, but this was amazing from both sides of the football and both teams because the Steelers really like they started hot and then they kind of cooled down. And then the defense really took advantage and was stopping the Lions. And then finally when the Lions scored, I was like, okay, well, this game's probably over if the Steelers don't score. But that touchdown changed the trajectory of the game. And then the Steelers end up driving coming back from the half. But what happens? A fumble leading to the Lions getting the ball, and this was pretty much the play that affected them the most. Lions finally get the ball for the third half. Low snap that really ruins the play, and something nobody's talking about. Watch Cam Hayward here. He's taken 2 guys to himself, plus a running back as Kyle Duggar comes in, unblocked, and gets the safety. And that changed the game again back to the Steelers' perspective. Because then the entire rest of the period, or the quarter, sorry, they had the ball. They did not give up the ball again after getting that. They ended up getting 3 points, and then really came down to the Lions struggling. They had the first penalties of the game for them in the third quarter or the fourth quarter, which really affected this game as far as it went on. Goff couldn't get the ball passing very well. The Steelers dropped so many touchdown or interceptions. It was ridiculous. Jack Sawyer had a great game starting his first ever game. I think really what kills Pittsburgh here is that they didn't, even though they took all of that third quarter, they never scored a touchdown. So I think that's one thing that Pittsburgh probably wishes they changed. But then they come out and they get one of their longest rushing touchdowns since 2023, I believe is what they said. And I believe it was Warren who got that other one against Cleveland, which really just changed everything. And then Pittsburgh kicks the ball away, and then finally the Lions get in rhythm. Now, I don't know if the Steelers just wanted to play conservative because they had the lead, because this has been a trait with Pittsburgh. If the last few games that they've won, notice that they've let off the pedal. The Browns, they never let off the pedal. The Bengals, I don't remember. I think the Bengals, they didn't let off the pedal. But they let off the pedal in that Indianapolis game. That was a game that they were in the lead for the majority of the game, and then it got closer towards the end. So we're seeing a theme where the Ravens, same thing, where they were winning and then they kind of let up at the end. And then Miami, they let up at the end. So we're seeing a consistent theme here with Pittsburgh, which is a concern. So the the Lions score, but then unfortunately a touchdown after a big first and 20 play. You can't see it obviously, but first and 20 to DK Metcalf then turns into a rushing touchdown again from like the same spot. And now all of a sudden there's 6 minutes left. They need a touchdown. The Lions go and score. Gibbs, I believe, is the one who gets it after many penalties that just were affecting the Steelers. And then, in my opinion, the biggest play of the game for the Lions was this missed field goal, which I'm very shocked because Boz, I guess they were saying Boz has made it from 60 something. And in the upright, I'm like, okay, this should be automatic. I always get nervous with the close field goals just because there is always a potential to get blocked, right? Especially this year, I feel like there's been more block kicks than normal. Boz goes for this field goal attempt, and I always just assume Boz is money. He kicks it, it's up, but it drags and hits the post. And I knew right there this game was not going to be easy, and now we had to rely on our defense. Because that would have made the Steelers go up 8 points, which would have been a little bit of a cushion, meaning now not only do the Lions have to go downfield in 2 minutes, They, with one timeout plus the 2-minute warning, they're going to now have to score a touchdown and go for a 2-point conversion to tie the game. Needless to say, they went down the field. And this was the play I want you guys to see. This was the crying of Williams that got them this flag. So you obviously watch this. You got Joey Porter Jr. on Williams for now. And then you have Ramsey going in motion with St. Brown, which obviously he's going to now dump it off and give it to Clark. And then Samuels is going to be on St. Brown. Or sorry, I believe Reynolds. So then, holding on Jack Sawyer. Now, you could argue maybe this isn't holding. That I always just feel if you're wrapped around his neck and your hand is on the outside shoulder, that's a hold. Because if you're not allowed to grab the outside of a player and move them like that, that's a holding play on most cases, especially for guards. Tackles too. Like the tackles, if you hold the sides of the jerseys, they throw that flag, especially if the ball runs your way. I thought this should have been a flag here for the I keep saying the Ravens, because I'm going to mention the playoff stakes here in a minute. But then he throws. Now, here's the thing. This is probably where the Lions should be grateful that the call went their way. Because in fast motion, I think he gets there right with the ball. Yes, in slow motion. But you people need to realize, slow motion isn't in real life. They have to call this as they see it. And when you slow it down, yeah, it's PI. It looks like PI. But I think that the crying helped them. I think the fans also losing their mind helped. And the Steelers were just hurting themselves. Highsmith with a tripping call. And then we got to talk about the touchdown people are complaining about, which was the Amon-Ra St. Brown touchdown. Amon-Ra immediately knew this was not in. So obviously you look at this, you got one-on-one here, you got the tight end, Gibbs, and then St. Brown cuts. Now the penalty is on Tesla. Now, once again, in a fast-moving play, I think this is the right call. I know there has been a lot of people that disagree. I think when you look at it and justify it, because obviously in slow motion, you're like, well, the corner ran into the safety. Well, you also have to consider who threw this flag. The guy who looks like he threw the flag was probably from the back of the end zone. So the referee in the back of the end zone saw the receiver kind of pop the safety. He can't see the corner. So in that case, especially on a touchdown play with 20-something seconds to go, you have to throw the flag there because that could ultimately screw the Steelers in this game. This is how it's a win-lose situation, because I'm also going to tell you why all you Lions fans who keep crying about the last play of the game, you all really need to calm down. So not only does this not score, but this was on 1st and goal. They had 2nd and goal to get it. This is the same reason why I always think, like, yes, the Saints pass interference call with the Rams, that was always going to be bad, but at the same time, they had a chance to win it also. And this was also it. You had a chance to win it. Tesla makes a similar play, and they kept getting penalties. But Tesla makes a similar play. Watch this. Tesla started the game with a crazy touchdown pass. He just couldn't corral this one. Then the play that everyone's talking about. Drop back. So you got 4 receivers, 1 tight end, 3 receivers. Tesla, who's already has a touchdown pass. Amon-Ra, best wide receiver. Williams, other receiver. He looks for St. Brown. St. Brown's in the end zone as of right now. He is now out of the end zone. People kept saying this is a touchdown. 2 things. Number 1, watch what he's at. He is at the 1-yard line pretty much. That ball is here. And you'll see that in another replay. That's not over the line. That's not a touchdown. And he did pass interfere. Yes, Ramsey made a spectacle, but how many times have guys not made a spectacle and it's still PI? How many times have people made a spectacle when it's not PI? Is pass interference. He made sure the ref saw it. That's it. I guarantee you if this happens to your favorite team too, You're going to say the same thing. But this is where I never understand this touchdown. 1 yard, 2 yard, 3 yard, 4 yard. We're at the 5 yard line now. Pitched it at like the 6 yard line and barely at the 7th, right? And then Jared Goff catches it and runs it to the back of the end zone. There's this pretty little thing called, like, has anybody ever had it where you stop your goddamn motion? Like, there's no forward progress. There was zero forward progress. When you go back 1 yard, 2 yard, 3 yard, 4, there is no way that should have been called a touchdown at all because the forward progress is done. So now we could be now let's start talking about this in a different way. We keep talking about how the Lions were screwed out of the last play of the game, even though it was pass interference, and this was the right call. This was just the right call in general. Why, oh why, is that the case? Because we all know if this call said it's a touchdown, it's irreversible, game is done, touchdown is official. Then the Lions win the game, Steelers lose, and the fans would be pissed that the Steelers lost in the worst way possible. Football isn't like hockey where they'll make up for a penalty. No, that's not the case. Like, and to be fair, people forget that same penalty that Tesla got on the St. Brown catch was the same penalty Washington got earlier in the game, which I felt like was also not a penalty, but when you watch it in slow motion, it does look bad, and I guarantee you in fast coverage and when the play is happening and the ref sees it, yeah, you throw a flag. So I think the officiating was technically fair in this. So obviously then you have the worst explanation of this ever, which was, and the fans, by the way, you fans are kind of not, why would you celebrate when he's clearly still talking? Like, you should, why do you not just wait, He also explained this very terrible. And that's probably another reason why everyone starts cheering again. Except for the people that know the rule, like Aaron Rodgers, who knew that, hey, that means this game's over. Aaron Rodgers and the Steelers are now 9-6. I've watched this 1,000 times, and I think that's the first time I've seen him say, "Where's the ball?" But I think it's a good call. And then to make matters worse for the AFC North, the Ravens lost. Not only did they lose Lamar Jackson, they lost in a very terrible fashion with two of your best players fumbling. Flowers fumbling and Henry fumbling. And I think that we all really need to look at how bad some of these teams look. And also, let's look at this for the Patriots fans that keep talking crap. It's the same way the Broncos fans are. Look at this record. Look at this record, please. Patriots with their schedule. They played Tyler Huntley most of the game. Tua, benched. Spencer Rattler, benched. Bryce Young, probably the best one yet, but I don't remember how early in the season. Cam Ward, still a rookie. Dylan Gabriel, terrible. I think they're just saying benched as in like guys that are no longer playing this year. Justin Fields, Jackson Dart, I'm pretty sure got hurt in that game too. Joe Flacco, Baker Mayfield, Josh Allen, split. Okay, so far like 3 guys on this list make sense. And then now they have Ewers and Cook. So I would watch out if I were y'all talking crap. But the Baltimore Ravens now lose. Now, here is how this happens now. The Steelers own their fate. Now, originally, the Steelers, if they were going to lose this game, they needed to win. They needed to win against Miami, Cleveland, and have 2 losses for Baltimore. Baltimore beat the Bengals, And I think we talked about this in the last video I made. And then we need to figure out what happens in the next few games. Well, now we do. Obviously, the Lions is a win. They lost, and then the Patriots beat the Ravens. So now, what the Ravens need to do, they play first. They play on Saturday. So hopefully they have Lamar, because now Lamar is playing for their season. Because with a loss to the Green Bay Packers, who lost Jordan Love and are without Micah Parsons now, that is a more winnable game. They're fighting for their playoffs as well. And the Lions kind of need help from the Ravens. So now, if they win that game, they go to 8-8. That's fine. But here's the problem. If Cleveland doesn't beat Pittsburgh, that game doesn't matter. Because if the Steelers beat Cleveland and go to 10-6, the division is Pittsburgh's. The division is now Pittsburgh's. It doesn't matter. The Week 18 game is not going to be for the AFC North. That's going to be the crucial thing. So the Ravens are going to need a Cleveland win, and they have to take care of business, and then they're going to have to beat Pittsburgh to win the AFC North. For Pittsburgh, it's easy. They need to win this game. They might be without DK Metcalf, which obviously probably going to happen. I have a feeling he'll be suspended. I don't know when that will be announced. I don't know if it'll be announced today or tomorrow, but I'm sure that we'll get some news on that very soon, probably in the next little bit or so. And then, I'm very intrigued on what's going to happen with this Steelers team, because as far as I'm concerned, they're just like the Texans, who I feel like they've been heating up at the right point, where this is probably the scariest teams to go into the playoffs. I don't have faith in Bo Nix, and when you really look at every team, Josh Allen's team isn't that great. And ever since Pittsburgh lost to the Bills, they have been pissed and they have been hungry. So if you're a Steelers fan, and I know they already walked into your place this year and they beat the hell out of us, but if you're Pittsburgh and you're saying to yourself, hey, Buffalo, if they have to come to us to play, and you guys can rectify what you did and stop the run and make that a competitive team, the Steelers might be the hardest team to stop in the postseason because of just their veteranness on both offense and defense now. And if they can get TJ back and Herbig, they officially have the depth. Like, Sawyer played well. TJ if he can up his game again in the playoffs. And I've been saying this, like, I know TJ hasn't had the great year, but I wonder if I've always said that maybe he's trying to do reverse psychology, where he always starts off hot and then ends cold, especially if they make the playoffs. So now what happens if he starts cold, makes plays everywhere else, and then all of a sudden, hopefully, when the playoffs hit, he can start getting to that quarterback and being a disruptor. Because if that happens, if TJ can get back to his ways that he was a year ago, 2 years, or just 2 years ago, and the beginning of last year, this Steelers team might be a real deal. And we don't know what's going to happen. So this AFC is just wide open. And the only team that has a quarterback head coach duo that's won a Super Bowl is the Steelers. So let me know what you guys think. Like this if you would like to comment down below. Follow me on everything. I hope you guys have a great Christmas. And hopefully I'll post again. But if not, I hope you guys had a great year, 2025. If you didn't, hopefully 2026 will be better. I know this was a good year for me. Did a better content creator, I guess. I did post a lot more, and I'm trying to think of a few more ideas and stuff to do. But you guys could always catch me on Twitch and everything down below. I will see you beautiful people later. Let me know your guys' thoughts and opinions on this game, because it was a big one. And, dominate the world, ladies and gentlemen, because I am out. Peace.